You're listening to Within Tolerance, a podcast for machinists by a machinist. I'm your host, Dylan Jackson from Protean Machining. And this week, my guest is...
Hello. Hey, my name is Konstantin. I'm CEO of Digifabster.
Well, welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on the podcast. I know a mutual friend connected us, which was great. And I had never heard of Digifabster. So real quick, before we get into your backstory, give me the 30,000 foot view of what Digifabster is.
Happy to, of course. Yeah. Well, basically, I'm really like to think about us as a Shopify for custom manufacturing. And what I mean by that, so basically, we allow machine shops to sell online 24/7, right from the browser, right from the website, and basically help machine shops to, with this transition into I would say, e-commerce. And I think e-commerce is obviously already became the big thing for pretty much all the market, but specifically, for manufacturing, we're just trying to help manufacturers to get involved, and of course, just grow the sales with the new channel.
Yeah, I think that it's really interesting because I know a lot of my peers, we all lament anytime we have to talk to a sales rep to buy tooling or something like that, but we never think about it from our customers' point of view of like, oh, maybe they don't want to have to talk to us for a quote and they just want to check out online and call it a day. So it's an interesting viewpoint shift.
Yeah, I think that obviously for some of the people, having the live conversation is important, and like for me too, obviously. So having those live conversation, even if you're in store shopping for, anything like monitor or something like that. So having this conversation is important. But when you're talking about the kind of, when you want to scale up something, obviously you have to have this kind of split. Like, okay, so 80% of the time I want my service to, have kind of self-checkout mode, then it can sell it by themselves, of course. And of course, in 20% of the time, when it's really like complex case, or when it's something like complex project or something like this, obviously you have to have this conversation with the people. And yeah, of course, building the trust is one of the other super important thing. But again, it's the same topic, I think, as we all have kind of fear that robots like will replace the humans. And I mean, I think it's not the way how it will kind of become a reality. It's more like, okay, so we will have like, yeah, we will have some automation. We have some robots, of course, and people have to learn how to, basically how to use the robots to automate some of the laborious, tasks. And that's probably how I see the future. Like really, 80% of the thing we can really automate, and 20% really, really important stuff we still want to do by ourselves, with human intervention, I would say.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, that's, yeah.
No, I totally agree. I think anybody who's been a longtime listener of the show knows that I'm a big proponent of automation, and that it just frees us as business owners up to do the stuff we love. Like nobody, at least nobody in my peer group is like, oh man, I can't wait to do data entry later tonight, or I can't wait to do quotes. Like, no, I want to go back to making chips. I want to go back to growing the business relationships, things like that. And if it can free me up, whether it's robots or software automation or whatever, that's what I want, because I don't want to be doing that stuff. And I know a lot of people who listen don't want to be doing that stuff either.
Yeah, indeed. So some of the things should be kind of on autopilot for sure, and that's okay. And rest of them, you have to take care of that. Yeah.
Well, let's step back then. How did you get to where you are, and how did you get to Digifabster? Before that, however much you want to share, but how did this all start?
Yeah, so I think my journey was a bit unusual. And again, I don't know, like maybe it's not super unusual, but it was unusual, at least to me. So I think I started my kind of entrepreneur career, and I don't think like entrepreneur is a really career. It is more like the way you live your life, probably. So yeah, it's all started like when I was in high school. I think it was almost 18 years ago. Yeah, so a long time ago. So yeah, basically I started as a freelance designer, and spent some of the like first of my years in university as a freelance designer. Then I got my bachelor degree in the marketing. So by trade, I'm a marketing guy. And then at some point, some of my friends introduced me to this world of manufacturing, and some exciting idea that he shared with me was about 3D printing. So 3D printing was a big thing at that moment. I think it was maybe 10 years ago or something like that, maybe 9 years ago. So it was a super big trend, with the 3D printing. And we decided, so, okay, so it is could be a good idea to kind of combine our software, background, my software background, my co-founder software background, and at the same time, jump into the manufacturing, because manufacturing basically you can, well, in software you build something but you can't touch it, right? So that's kind of a problem, of course. In the manufacturing, it obviously it is where, okay, you produce something, you can touch it, you can feel it. And to me it was like, okay, I can combine two of my passions, like, okay, software of course and manufacturing, to build real things, real stuff. And we decided, so, okay, let's start the, well, it was 3D printing shop at the beginning, then it kind of transitioned into the kind of machine shop. So we had a lot of equipment, everything from 3D printers to some CNC machines, some cutting machines. And we quickly realized that we want to run our business in a different way, not how other shops do it. And of course, we decided, okay, it's probably we need to apply some, software automation to our business, help our customers to, to easily be able to place the orders, to track the orders and all of that. So we built the very early version of Digifabster. We built it for our own shop. And then we decided, so, okay, so it's cool. We have a lot of happy customers that really like, our shop, and they preferred our shop, among others. And we decided, so probably if we want to really scale things up, so probably we need to see, maybe we can kind of transit into the software company. And we starting to do like really, really a lot of the interviews with a lot of machine shops all around the world. So we started in Netherlands, I believe, then Germany, then France, then UK, then US. Well, and again, we quickly realized that, yeah, so basically most of the shops, struggled with the same things that we did in our shop, with the lack of the automation, with a lot of laborious tasks when you need to basically, use the spreadsheet to quote the jobs and all of that. And we decided, so it's a good problem to be solved. So yeah, we decided to go all in with Digifabster. And yeah, I think, yeah, it was almost 5 years ago when I moved to the US, and we started building the team here. So now we have 25 people. We have just amazing people in the team, and now we have over hundreds of the customers in like 40 countries. And we are trying to kind of not only just digitalize the whole manufacturing, not only just provide our solution, but honestly kind of ride this wave of the, I would say, of the, well, e-commerce and manufacturing basically. So we just want to manufacturers experience the same benefits that any other businesses, have. I mean, I'm talking about typical clothes stores or cafes or anything that really in the e-commerce now, right? So we want to do the same for manufacturers, because obviously they don't need to be stranger to the e-commerce, because that's something that's already a big part of the life. And of course, yes, COVID also accelerate the, things in manufacturing. I mean, a lot of people have to work remotely, but at the same time, they still need to run the business, even if they remote. So yeah, so that's kind of, yeah, kind of was a story, how I get into, yeah.
Okay, so you've only been really pushing on the US for 5 years, and maybe that's why some of my listeners haven't heard about you, because I know there's other players in the industry that have been around longer. And then also we've seen the rise of things like Xometry and Xometry seems to want to hide all the manufacturers behind their wall, whereas you're kind of giving that same power individually to shops.
Yeah, so the funny thing that I think we introduced our first version of the software even before Xometry. So it was like without a lot of PR activity or something like that. But again, it was early. But yeah, so our idea obviously is a bit different than Xometry. And again, so I think Xometry do just amazing things for the market, and it's really important. But our idea is to really support independent shops. So basically really help small and medium shops to, to be able to sell online, to be able to sell 24/7, to be able to own their customer base. Because obviously we think that for the shops, like, this recurring revenue from the existing customers, the existing customer base, that's super important. It's a trust. It is, it's your customers, and you have to own it. And it's, yeah, kind of, yeah. So that's probably the main differentiation with the marketplaces.
Well, actually, that leads into one of our first questions, which is what sets you guys apart from the competition. So in addition to 24/7 selling, what other key points would you want somebody who's listening to know about Digifabster?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously we have a lot of direct competitors, and that's good for the market. That's good that people have choices. And so basically, I would say we have kind of three key pillars or something like that that differentiate us from the competitors. So first of all, of course, the main thing that we do for our machine shops, we really help them to generate the revenue online 24/7 with what we really like to call like self checkout mode. Like you really put this application on your website, and customers can just came to your website, upload the models, get the prices, place the order. They can pay you upfront, they can track the orders, all of that. So it's basically it's a Shopify or kind of Amazon experience that you can provide as a shop. You can provide to the customers, and that's important because again, so this is the way how you can really generate a lot of new revenue. So it's a new revenue channel basically. The second thing, yeah, we support a lot of the technologies. So we support all the 3D printing technology, we support all the CNC technology, we support cutting technology. We're going to support sheet metals and injection molding too. So just, you know, trying to support all kind of the technology that manufacturers typically use, and specifically because we see a lot of shops that we call like hybrid shops. So basically those who was 3D printing shops in the beginning and then kind of become the machine shops with the CNC, or vice versa. So it's always different, but that's important, of course. And the third thing, we know how manufacturers, how machine shop owners hate to hate to spend too much time with the software, with implementation, with with countless integrations and things like that. So we made the whole onboarding process, we made the whole adoption process very easy and very quick for the customer. So basically they can set things up in like 1-2 days and just ready to sell online live. Yeah.
Okay. So actually going back to two of those pillars, both 24-hour selling and quick onboarding, how much control do I get over pricing? Like, how can I edit the rules myself? Do you guys take care of all of that behind the scenes? If I all of a sudden decide like, oh, my material price is going up, can I go in and edit that? Like, how does that whole process work?
Yeah, so the great thing about Digifabster is that we combine both approaches. So if you want to do things in a very simple way, you can do that. So you can use only a couple, variables, a couple parameters to stop your pricing and just go live. Or if you really want to go deeper, you have all control of your pricing, like complete control of your pricing. You have hundreds of different parameters that you can use. You can tune up or adjust any portion of your pricing, any portion of your, how our algorithms analyze the geometry, the complexity, all of that. So again, you have all control of your on your pricing, like complete control of the pricing. You can, and again, it makes a lot of sense because market is changing, obviously, and at some point you want to just adjust your pricing, and you don't need to. It's basically your complete setup. You can change anything at any point of time if you decided to be a bit cheaper on this particular material or vice versa. So yeah, you're in the complete control of that.
Okay. And then like, what's the process? Like for me, it would be very nerve wracking just allowing the pricing to be automatically generated and the customer to buy it without me vetting it first. Cause I know I've talked to, like, speaking of hybrid shops, like Nick from P3D Creations was on a couple weeks ago, and he uses paperless parts, and he says that like often it'll flag like a modeled thread and add like $4,000 because it thinks that it's surfacing this thread. So like, what kind of control do I have, and what kind of vetting process can I implement if I'm using Digifabster?
Right. It's a good question. So actually, we have specific triggers that like in the case when someone upload very complex model and it had a lot of threads, a lot of specific features. So we have this trigger that our algorithms can send this model to the manual review. So basically, if the model is too complex to be automatically, or our algorithms see like the price for this part too high, it's not normal, it's out of normal. So basically we send it to manual review, and the operator, the shop, can review the part, can change what he think need to be changed. and just, generate a new or change the price completely or add something to the price. So again, you're in control. So this trigger is basically a threshold. So we use a few different parameters for this threshold, but basically you don't need to think that it's complete automation and you have no control on pricing that our algorithm generates. So you still have a lot of control, but the basic idea is really to help to automate like 80% of the orders, and really 80% of the orders most of the time are. I'm not talking like it's super simple, of course, but it's a lot of very basic geometry in those parts, and they have to be automated. They have to be automatically calculated. So it's no reason why you as an operator or your employees need to review every single part. It's just really waste of time, and you need to be focused on more complex job, more high paid projects and things like that. Yeah.
But if you wanted to review every job, can you set it up so that it just pings you every time?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. And then does your software do any kind of scheduling? Like, does it know when you're overloaded and it needs to start charging expedite fees or things like that to jump over each other?
So basically, we have integrations with the ERP system, so we can get the data from ERP. We can send the data back to the ERP system. So basically, we can, for those shops that want to be in full control, the whole operations and the whole production. Of course, we can pull the data, and yeah, so based on that, we can change the lead time or prices if you want. So yeah, it's also possible.
Okay. Very cool. Another question that we had was, what does digital security look like for those using Digifabster? Because there's a lot of listeners who work for, aerospace shops, or they've got really tight NDAs with their customers. What can you guys see behind the scenes? What is just for our eyes only? How does that all work?
Yeah, so it's really good question. So I think we have like certain levels of the security. So the very very basic level is, so all the files securely stored in the AWS. So that's kind of a basic level. So AWS completely secure all the files that uploaded. It's super basic level. On the top of that, we are SOC2 compliant. So we went through this crazy compliance process for SOC2. So that's a layer on the top. Next level, of course, we have like extensive roles and permission system. So again, you can allow your employees to have access to only certain data. And on the top of that, we have two more levels, I would say. So ITAR, of course. So we have ITAR servers, so no one can really access the data like at all. So that's and like the super top level is where basically you have your dedicated server. Of course, it could be still could be ITAR compliant in specific zone or location in the US, and you can run Digifabster on this server too. So again, it's really depends on the specific customer. So yeah, like 85% of the customers, they really okay with the basic and ITAR level, but some of the customers from aerospace, of course, yeah, they just go with a dedicated server with additional layer of the security and all of that. But yeah, we provide all kind of layer of security for the customers.
Okay. And then what kind of access do you guys have to data? Is it more just metadata than
So
actual part data?
So it's completely anonymized. So like no one can see actual data, actual files, actual geometry or something like that. So obviously we have access to the code itself, for maintenance, for improvements, for all the updates and things like that. But yes, so we have this kind of extensive system where like most of the team members can't access like certain level, certain data. So yeah.
Okay. Great. I think that's good to hear. I think that a lot of us, especially like for me, I am just computer savvy enough that I know that I don't know anything, and that like I try to be the best I can about security, and I'm constantly researching it, but I'm not an IT professional. So having partners that take care of that stuff and do their homework, and that's their job, that is really important, I think, for small shops like me and some of my listeners.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then another question I had was, if you look at your website, it seems like there's a lot of focus on 3D printing. So is the machining side a newer side of the company, or something that you're starting to focus more on, or how does that work?
So at the beginning, we were more focused on 3D printing because again, that's kind of our roots. So we started from 3D printing, and we wanted to completely polish everything for 3D printing technology first. And again, it was at the early beginning. We jumped into CNC like more than 3 years ago now. So now we support like everything that we need to support for a typical machine shop, and we just adding more and more, like I would say accuracy, complexity into our calculations, more possibilities, more for the customers, and basically adding more and more technology. But again, so the core system itself is that so flexible that now like adding the new technologies for us is much easier, obviously, than it was at the beginning, and that's why we aggressively, adding more and more technology. And yeah, so but yeah, so our focus now is more on the, well, more on the kind of manufacturing companies overall, like regardless of the technology, because basically we can support majority of the technologies. And yeah, so the plan is just, just be able to help any kind of shop with any kind of technology to start sell online and to do it as soon as possible. Yeah.
Okay. Well, so since you have this broad spectrum of technologies under your umbrella, from the customer side, do you have any like warnings or things that like flags you'll throw? Like, you'll upload a model and you'll have a 30 thou radius down 2 inches, and you'll say, hey, you might want to change this before you get the quote because it's going to be super expensive, or this might be better for 3D printing. What does the customer see on their side that might take less off my plate, having to, go back and say, hey, you might want to change all these features?
Yeah, it's a few things. So as you mentioned, so recommendation, like someone upload a part. So instead of producing this part like with the milling, we can recommend, some 3D printing technology because it's just, better suited in this case. That's one thing. Second thing is TFM, so design for manufacturing checks. So we have a lot of them. So we analyze the models for not only just, some kind of problems with the geometry, but also of course some features, and we adding more and more, feature recognition probably every other week. So yeah, so basically we have this extensive DFM checks, so your customers can definitely see if this model have any problems, or if this model is better suited for, so for other technology, or if the model is just can't be produced at all. So all the levels it's covered. So of course, yeah, yeah, so it's all covered.
That's great. And then how does more feature recognition get added? Do you have your current customers telling you like, hey, well, check out this little thing on this part, I think you need to add it to the algorithm?
So it's a both sides. So a lot of the things, of course, come from the customer feedback, which is just awesome for us because I mean the whole Digifabster built on the customer feedback, from the ground. So we hear customers. We love to hear more from the customers. So that's one part. So obviously we just adding more and more. It's not only just about the DFM, of course. It's overall for, for architecture of the system, of the like small things that we're adding to the, how we generate invoice, how we generate purchase orders and things like that. So all small things really important for us because again, customers tell us about that. That's one thing. And of course, we have a very experienced application engineer team inside of the company. So we are, of course, adding some other, feature recognition or some other stuff based on their feedback. So it's combination, of course. It's
Okay.
combination of the customer feedback, our internal feedback, and just overall our vision. What should be what's going to be the next big thing for us.
Okay. And then another question about the functionality, because I know a stumbling block for a lot of technologies like this is threaded holes. Because if they're not modeled as threaded holes, how do you designate threaded holes in Digifabster? Because, if I just send you a plate and there's a bunch of holes, maybe I modeled them on minor diameter, maybe I modeled them on pitch diameter or major diameter. Is there a way that the customer can select certain holes on their model and say that they are a 632, for example?
Yeah, so basically, when someone upload the part with the holes, we have specific portion of interface where they can actually set the number of the holes, the like diameter of the holes and things like that. So yeah, it's just on a kind of on the second step when you upload the parts, and you can really like pick up the right parameters for this specific part. So yeah, and of course we, like moving to the direction where pretty much everything going to be automated. So basically, the system we're will be able to identify not only just all the holes, but the depth of the holes, the diameter of the holes, some of the kind of hidden holes and things like that. So it just adding more and more kind of abilities to our engine to, to identify more and more. But at the same time, we always have this kind of vision. We don't want to over engineer some of the things, because obviously it's e-commerce experience. So in e-commerce experience, you want customers to go and buy something as soon as possible, so they shouldn't be interrupt with any kind of roadblocks. That's important, of course.
Right.
Still, like, accuracy should be high. And again, like, accuracy is a whole another topic. It's very interesting. We have the whole ebook about the accuracy, our approach to the accuracy for specific technology. It's super important. It's super interesting to read about. But yeah, so basically we are balancing between super nice, super convenient e-commerce experience for the end users, and at the same time to have enough complexity for our core engine to analyze the geometry of the CAD parts, of the CAD files, to be able to not only just estimate it accurately, but at the same time identify all the small things like holes, like threads, things like that in the model. So it's yeah. So that's kind of our approach from both sides.
What about tight tolerances? Like, can a customer specify and say, oh, this bore is plus or minus 2/10? Because that would be an order of magnitude different in a quote. It's like, oh, I need to bore this and I need to check it super accurately versus like, oh, I'll throw an enamel in there and it'll be good.
So tolerance is one of the things that customers also can set up or pick up during the checkout process. And
Okay.
at the same time, in the background and in the back office, you also can set some specific parameters that for specific materials, for specific technologies, like what tolerances are available for the customers.
Okay. Is there any plan in the future to do like OCR on a PDF print to go along with the model?
Yeah, well, it's a good question. So we have a lot of debates about that. So I mean, from the one point, a lot of manufacturers moving to the direction where they have CAD files only. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's good. Not all of them, obviously. Drawings still a big thing, of course. Yeah. But again, that's okay. So yeah, so we have some plans. I can't say like we are going to do something in this year about that, but yeah, we have some plans, and probably we will find the well. We're always trying to find the best way to make machine shop life easier, and yeah, so we have some plans, but again, not this year, probably next year. Yeah.
Okay. Because that's going to a system like this. Like I told you when we were talking on the phone, that this is really like my goal for the first 6 months of this year. And I've got some customers that just give me a blanket tolerance. This is plus or minus 2 thou off of model, and like they don't give me a print, they don't care. And then I've got some customers that like, there's true position, there's profile, there's really tight tolerance boards, all that kind of stuff. And like those are the kind of jobs that would worry me. Like, is there a way that I could, if I had a Digifabster, could I just flag any job that was accompanied by a print?
Yeah. So that's one of the things. So yeah, and again, it's more about like have specific threshold for specific part like that or specific cases like that. So yeah, we're adding things like that. So I don't think we have it right now, to be honest. Not sure, but yeah. So that's obviously good suggestion, because again, we have like no plans to like completely automate everything. So again, some of
Right.
the jobs just you have to have some take a look at on those jobs. You need to spend the time with the customer. You need to talk to the customers, and that's okay, especially if the rest, like if the rest 80% of your jobs are automated, and you just receive the file and you can just start producing that. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because I mean, like, my worry would be I would get like a simple 3 inch by 3 inch plate with 4 holes in it, but then it turns out it's flat within 3/10 and true position of 1 on all the holes, and like, things like that, where it's like it could be a $10 part or it could be a $1,200 part.
Right.
And I don't want to lose, $1,100 because I left it to chance. So
Absolutely.
those are the kind of things that I definitely had questions about, but that's great to hear.
Yeah.
So when we talked on the phone, you had mentioned that you really wanted to talk to me and to my audience about digital marketing and how important you thought that was going forward in this industry, and kind of that a lot of people are dropping the ball on that. So I wanted to bring that up and kind of give you an opportunity to make your points so that more people can hear that. Because I do think that that is an area that a lot of us are dropping the ball on. You know, as I mentioned in the beginning, like I never even thought about like, oh, e-commerce should be part of my site as well as like the people I criticize about not having good e-commerce sites.
Right, right, right. Yeah. So, I mean, the good thing that the trend that we can see now, people in the machine shop owners starting to understand that marketing is not like it's not just important, it's the way how you scale things up. So probably only way how you can really scale things up. And so it's, I believe, like in the next maybe 4 years, it will be a normal, like all the shops, want to take care about the marketing. They want to take care about how they, grow the audience, how they grow the customer base, what they can do with, even if they have not a lot of resources. And again, so the good thing now that competition in the online marketing space in the manufacturer is not that bad yet. So obviously it's still like you have, big guys like Proto Labs, like Zometry, of course, some other shops that do a lot of nice job in online marketing. But again, it's still not comparable to other, industries, of course. So basically we have, for all the shops that starting with Digifabster, we have kind of, again, a few levels of the support that we can provide for on the marketing end. So the I would say very basic level, where we providing some kind of, top 3, top 5, top 10 suggestions, what you need to do first. So like you're all good, you're set up Digifabster, it's online, you live, you like your pricing color. So what the first steps that you can do without spending any money to the marketing, like any money. So like the very first thing, so you have to position your shop, as a kind of, so now we now like online a CNC shop, or we are able to not only just accept orders online, but basically we accept it online and then you get the part in like in 2 days. So it's it's really important to find the right positioning, especially in your certain area. Like if you are only, let's say, in Colorado, so that's basically your kind of the closest, yep, basically your closest area where you know the customers, and you can start there. So basically, I would say a couple key things, couple suggestions. So first of all, I believe all the machine shops website should have the clear CTA. CTA, it's a call to action. So
Mhm.
basically, you have to point out your customers like, here is here's the button when you can start your order, regardless of the system that you use. And of course, it means that it not only should be like my main page where I have this button and then no other pages have this button. So all the pages should have this clear CTA. So how the customer could just initiate the order, how the customer could start the order, how the customer can order the part from you. So that's really important. It sounds really basic, but a lot of the shops still don't have it. So
Mhm.
that's important. That's one thing. The second thing, it is, again, this is something that I mentioned, it's unique value proposition. So, and again, you can do a couple of things. So obviously you can use the words like keywords like online CNC quotes, instant pricing, instant coding, and that's important for your customers. So that's really, really important to customers to see that you provide this kind of ability to get the price right away and place the order. So without any delays, without any RFQs, like request per quote, and waiting for 5 to 7 days to get a quote. So like if you have this ability, if you have Digifabs or any similar solution, you just need to position your shop as the, like, it's the benefit. It's a big benefit, of course. That's one thing. Second thing is really turnaround time. And we have a lot of like quotes from our shops that tell us like, so like we noticed like that in 80% of the time, if we can provide a quote within an hour, we can win this job. We can win this job. So the time is really, really super important in this case. And of course, like, it's good to have something about turnaround time. So so basically you can place the order today and get your part like next day or day after. This is important for the customers. And of course, when we're talking about prototyping or we're talking about short run manufacturing, so obviously people want to get the part as soon as possible.
Hmm.
They do their design job, they do their projects, they want to get the part as soon as possible. And if you're able to, to provide this, fast or rapid turnaround time, you need to say about that, on your website. The second, the next thing is obviously if you have some unique materials, you're providing unique materials, you provide unique post production, you provide some unique, maybe even technology or even tolerances. So any unique thing that put your machine shop on the top of the competitors, you have to talk about that. You have to have this on your website.
Hmm.
It's super important. So again, everything starts with a super clear CTA, call to action, then unique value proposition, and then like kind of the next step. What like a lot of the shops ask us like, what should I do like in the first week after implementation once we get on board with Digifabster? So basically, you need to email, phone, text, or even send the postcard to your existing customers and say like, guys, now we have this instant coding experience. So please like go upload the part, place the order, get the tracking number, and yeah, then get your part in the next couple of days. So your existing customers, that's your first audience, of course. That's the first audience. Um, you can think about some incentives, like of course like super small discount or something like that, so customers need to used to using this new system. Of course, like for all the customers, it's kind of new way for placing the order. So that's why obviously we made this super smooth, super easy experience for the customer. So even if it's new system, they still are able to easily place the order, easily go through all the steps. So it's really Shopify like or Amazon like experience. So like no roadblocks. It's super easy, super convenient. So that's important too. And finally, having the very short how-to video on how to use the system, how to use the new system, to place the orders, to track your orders. It's also important. And again, it could be like 30 seconds video or 45 seconds video, super short, super nice and sweet. And yeah, that's also important for the customers, because like we are living in the super fast times, I would say. Like people really prefer to watch something instead of like reading something, even if it's super short article or even super short note. So they really prefer to just watch the video. So that's also very important. And then of course that was super basic, the entry level to the marketing, to the like first of all, take care of your website. It's your it's your thing in the internet. So that's the first thing. Secondly, of course, we have a few programs where our marketing partner are taking care of your advertising campaigns, starting with the LinkedIn, with the Google, of course, a lot of creation of the content, social networks. So again, it's really depends on I would say, even on if you're ready to to apply like the marketing for the machine shops. And again, if you like spend some time with this basic step that I just mentioned, so your website is ready for accepting new customers, you're ready, you have nice presence online, so you're probably ready for to applying some marketing with some LinkedIn, Google, social networks to your shop. And you can start small. You can really start small. So the good thing that, again, you need to find and then fine tune your audience, because obviously you're not just selling your services to every single person. So you need to find your audience, and audience is, yeah, it's super important, because this, but once you really understand your audience, you can really fine tune your messaging to the audience. So
Yeah, I completely agree.
that's
I
that's
think
that's
that
the
like
key.
you mentioned like brand, and I think that deciding what kind of shop you're really, like for me, it was really revolutionary. It was like, oh, I don't want to compete on 10,000 piece runs where I'm making a 5% profit. Like
Yeah.
that's, we have now steered our shop towards, the high end prototypes, quick lead times. Maybe we're not the most inexpensive, but we will get it there quickly and perfect. That's the kind of thing that we specialize in. And once we made that mental decision to make that shift, doors just started opening up. You are now able to say no to work and feel comfortable saying no to that work. Whereas I think a lot of small shops, you get in this panic mode of, oh, I have to take every single job that comes through my door, otherwise I'm not a good business owner. And really, like the opportunity cost of taking some of those jobs on is so terrible to the business.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think that interestingly enough, I think that like shops can learn a lot from like Instagram influencers, like as much as we make fun of them and stuff, but it's all about, having a brand identity, a call to action, and really cultivating that audience for your shop. And as terrible a idea, I think to a lot of people that is, like those are the things that work. Like that's why these people have millions and millions of followers, because they know how to corral people into their net, like very succinctly and expertly.
Yeah, completely agree. So I think it's not only related to machine shops, of course, like this idea of saying no to some of the jobs, some of the customers that just not a good fit for you is normal. It's normal for any kind of business, and it's really important. And again, we're living in the world where we have a lot of a lot of noise like all around us, and obviously that's why having your building your audience is that important, because it should be, your messaging should be like really for this audience only. And of course, yeah, again, saying no, I think it's hard. Obviously it's hard for as a business owner, but at some point you finally got, it kind of got to the point where, okay, so saying no is actually good for my business,
Mhm.
like very good for my business.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, and I find that like rather than saying no, I've started cultivating partners that I know pick up where my weaknesses are. So I steer people towards those people because I know that very often in return, they will send people back my way because they know my specialty. And if I can have a really strong network that I trust and I trust to shop people out to, either I'll take the job personally and shop it out under my brand, or I'll just send somebody their way. But I think that makes more sense. Like rather than trying to be a catch-all general purpose shop that's like turning flywheels for cars on one machine and making high-end aerospace, and like that doesn't make any sense. Like those are two different goals. And so really specializing and having people you could turn to makes much more sense.
Yeah, and exactly, this is exactly that we see across our customers. So they basically send the jobs to each other, so they know that those guys are better in this particular material, this particular technology, and they basically, just mention this to the customer. So like, and then of course, like vice versa, this shop like suggest to their customers to go to another shop. So I mean, that's good that it's happening. So of course it's still kind of competition, but it's always competition. Honestly, you need to really think more, not only not about the competition, but really about your audience, really about your polishing your messaging, polishing your how you communicate with the audience. And basically, yeah, customer service. At the end, it's customer service. It's all about customer service. It's all about, first of all, taking care of your existing customers. Always, they are like have always top priority, and then yeah, new customers, and yeah, so yeah.
Okay. So if there was one thing that my listeners should go do right now to increase their marketing, would you say it's a call to action on their website? Or is there, like, if they only had 10 minutes today to do one thing to improve their business, what would you have them do?
Based based on the websites that I seen in the last many years, I would say CTA, call to action, is one of the most important, because surprisingly, a lot of shops just don't have it, and people really struggling to find the way how to contact the shop, how to place the order. So yeah, so probably CTA is the just one single thing that you can, like, in 10 minutes, really in 10 minutes, that can improve your conversion. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I know I'm definitely, I think I have one on my homepage, but now I'm going to have to go back and look. And anyone listening, you heard it here. Just go to whoever hosts your website and add a CTA. Just click here to request a quote or whatever, but you got to have something. And that makes total sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that brings us on to shop news and new things. Are there any new things that Digifabster is working on or coming out with in the near future, or has just come out with, that you wanted to share?
Yeah, so basically, I would say our recent addition to the product was the new e-commerce platform. So it's again completely redesigned. Now it's super smooth from the end user perspective. Again, just a couple steps to place the order, pay for the order, and that's it. So that was important kind of leap for us from the previous version of the system. So that I would say one of the biggest thing. And yeah, so this year is super important for us. So we're adding a lot of new things. We're adding a lot of new integrations. So basically because we are expanding to new technologies, so we obviously want to have new partners on ERP side, on CRM side, on the accounting side. So we already have like maybe more than 10 integrations, but we continue adding those that customer use. And again, so that's the focus for the company too. We are adding sheet metals and injection molding capabilities this year, which will help a lot of the customers that have this hybrid shop with hybrid technologies, multiple technology under one roof. And yeah, so we have something that I can share right now, but we are working on the something that will significantly improve the way how customers interact with the customers from the payments perspective. And
Okay.
that's important because I would say like the first one of the biggest thing to me in manufacturing, I mean, one of the biggest problem that I seen in manufacturing when I just starting, working this industry was obviously this thing with the quotes. Like with I at the beginning, I I just couldn't understand why people still have those manual forms, that you need to fill out, send this to the shop. You have no interactive way to place the orders. So that's why that's basically why Digifabster born. But the other thing that always was, I think, a big headache for manufacturing was the payments. So basically, how customers can get payments from their customers, like how fast they can get the payments, what the flexibility they can have with their customers, how to get to the point where no longer use checks or no longer use some maybe even purchase order, something like that. So just streamlining the payment system overall. So I think that's happening not only in manufacturing, in many other industries, but I believe in manufacturing that's also like very important. It will just accelerate the whole industry, the whole business. So yeah, obviously we are also working on this kind of problem. And yeah, so it's again a lot of new things coming up this year, a lot of improvements, of course. Yeah, we just the team like work like super hard and adding a lot of things, like every single week we have updates, of course. So it's continuous process. And yeah, so but it will be a lot of new things and exciting
Awesome.
things this year. Yeah.
Okay, we'll have to check back in. You're Digifabster_US on Instagram. So anybody who wants to go follow along, check that out. And then before we get on to the last question, where can they get a demo? Like if somebody was interested in finding out more about Digifabster, how easy is it to get a demo?
So surprisingly enough, we have a CTA on our on our website. So yeah, you can easily get started with a demo. You can start the trial. You have 7 days trial to play with our software, or you can schedule the short meeting with our team and just have live presentation. So whatever you want, it's possible. It's all on the website. Just a nice green button on the top. That's it.
Awesome. Well, the last question I ask every guest is, what did you research this week? And it can be anything and everything. It doesn't have to be manufacturing related. It's just always cool to see what other people in the industry are interested in.
Yeah. So I I don't think it was the research itself, but I would say I found a new way how to challenge myself. And I think this is something that some people really want to do, like occasionally, or once in a year, maybe couple times in a year. So last weekend I participated in Tough Mudder. I don't know if you
Oh yeah.
if you're familiar with that. So yeah, it was 10 miles, I think, with 30-ish obstacles. So again, it was the experience that, yeah, first of all, you challenge yourself. You want to see what you're capable of. I think that's important. And secondly, you have this sensation in your body. You can feel every single cell of your body, after the Tough Mudder. So yeah, I mean, it's again, it's not the research, but like if you want to really challenge yourself again, maybe once a year, I think the Tough Mudder is really the way how you can easily do it. And again, you will spend 2, 3, maybe 4 hours, but yeah, trust me, you will not regret. It is really, really nice experience. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I've had a few friends do them, and they look pretty intense. So that's really cool. I'm glad to hear that it went well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Konstantin, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show. I really appreciate it. In closing, Patreon thank yous, thank you to Trent, and thank you to everyone else who backs the show, lets me schedule awesome interviews like this and learn about really cool software. I'm really looking forward to getting my trial and learning more about it.
Thanks for having me, Dylan. Thank you so much.
And I'll be back next week.